Hello again, YouTube. Today we have the Furibee F36 quadcopter. It has 2.4 gigahertz transmitter. It has 3D flips. It has a couple LED lights, 6-axis gyro, headless mode, return to home, and a high-low speed switch. These things come in orange and cyan, and we have the orange one here. So let's open this thing up and see what we got. Okay, we have a little package here, 4 extra propellers, a little screwdriver to get into the transmitter, and we have a little USB charger. Okay, here's the instruction manual. Here's the quadcopter and the battery. The battery is a 3.7 volt 1S 150 milliamp. And we have the transmitter. It's mode 2. You got the throttle, yaw, pitch, and roll. You have your roll trim and your pitch trim here, and right here is your high-low speed switch, power switch, and an LED indicator light. Okay, let's see what it takes in batteries. Got another screwdriver here I can use. And this takes 3 AAAs. Okay. Well, transmitter is a little bit small. I mean, I got quite big hands, but I have been able to use this quite well. It's not too difficult, even with my hands as big as they are. There's sometimes I just can't feel the sticks as well as I can with some of the other transmitters. But these sticks here can be extended by just kind of pinching and giving a little pull or twist, and sometimes they'll just slide off, and other times they'll pop off like that one just did. You put it back on a little bit, and you can get about 4 millimeters more length out of that. Try this one here. There we go. That one just slid instead of popped. Okay, yep. You can get about 4 millimeters out of that one too. Okay. Now, I am going to do a full demonstration on this with all the functions, but this manual is poorly translated into English, especially on a few things. Like I already have this opened up right here to the part where it talks about headless mode. It's saying to press down on the left stick. Well, to press down on the left stick, all that does for you is return to home. So we are going to do a full demonstration on exactly how to do headless mode, how to do the return to home, exactly how everything functions with this on the next part of this video. But right now we are going to take some measurements on the quad. I'm going to first do the weight, and we'll do the quad without the battery in it, and we have 15.8 grams, and with the battery we have 21.5, so that's not too bad. Alright, and the quad looks pretty sturdy. I mean, the frame is quite flexible. I don't see how this thing could easily get broken, and even the body here kind of molds around the air ducts. Kind of added support there. Pretty nice little design on that body. The motors, by the way, are 615 with a 0.8 millimeter shaft, and these are 31 millimeter props. Let's do a couple other measurements here. We got the weight, and let's do a diagonal measurement here, center prop to center prop. About 65 millimeters. And going side to side, 83. Side to side here, 83. And the height, I'm going to have to kind of eyeball this one. We got about 34 there. I don't know if you saw those measurements. I wasn't paying attention to the camera, but you got about 34 height, 83 across, 83 forward and back, and 65 millimeters from prop to prop. Okay, so let's see about getting some batteries charged. We'll do a flight test and into my first flight test, I will actually explain all the functions of this transmitter. So I'm going to go ahead and get some batteries charged, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Got some batteries charged up. The first thing I'm going to do here is a flight time test. I'm not going to do anything fancy here. Just going to fly it around. We're going to see how long it lasts before the battery light starts flashing to tell you to land. And then we're going to let it go until it drops out of the sky. So I got my timer here. And we're going to plug this thing in and see what we get. And I will be fast forwarding sections of this video just so we can save time on the video itself. So let me get this plugged in. And I'm going to keep this in low rate. And I'm not going to do a hover time test like most people do. I am going to do a real world time test here because you're not going to sit there and hover. You're going to fly around. So let's see what we get with it flying around. So let's get this camera up here. And like I said, I am staying in low rate. So let's start my timer. I don't know if you can see it. And there it goes. I have to cut a few seconds off the flight time. So let's go. Here we go. Okay, there we go. We got the battery light started to flash, and we are at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So let's see how long it goes before it drops out of the sky here. You can see the battery light, flashing light, the blue light's flashing, and the red light's flashing, telling you it's time to come and land. We're just going to let this go until it drops. Bring it over here a little bit. So I have to go chasing it. Just going to hover this last little bit. And there we go. It's starting to die out. And it hit the ground, and we are at 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And that's it. So we got about 30 seconds after the battery light starts flashing to tell you to land. And we got about 5 minutes and 20 seconds out of it total. Now, let's see, we got 4:30 before the battery light started flashing and 5:20 before it dropped out of the sky. So roughly 40 seconds after it starts flashing, 50 seconds after it starts flashing. So you get about 5.5 minutes, five and a half minutes out of it total. I don't recommend letting it run down until it drops out of the sky, but because it is a little hard on the batteries that way. But here we go. We have Furibee F36, roughly 5 minutes of total flight time with the stock battery in low rate. You might lose a few seconds in high rate. But yeah, it's really good. Really nice flight time on these little micros for a 150 milliamp battery. They're nice and punchy. So next section, I'm going to demonstrate everything for this. Okay, we've got some batteries charged up and we're back. I did forget to mention about this USB charger when you plug this in with your battery on it, the light is on while it's charging, and it will go out when it's finished charging. So that's one thing to take note of. Now we're going to demonstrate the headless mode and the return to home. Now I have to explain that this button here is your return to home and your headless mode, but to get into headless mode, it is a press and release the left stick and pull back on the right stick immediately after, and your transmitter should start beeping. Okay. Now, when you go to try to do return to home with the headless mode on, you have to press the left stick, but it's going to take you out of headless mode. And then you press it again, and it's return to home. So, if you're in headless mode, of course, you know that the orientation does not matter. Even if you're this way, if you press forward, if you're sideways and you press forward in your headless mode, that's forward and back is back, right is right, left is left. It doesn't matter the orientation. Left is left, right is right, forward is forward, back is back. So the bad thing about this when it comes to headless mode and return to home, when you're starting out in headless mode and you press the left stick you got to get out of headless mode, then you got to press the stick again to get your return to home. But if you yaw in between any of that, the orientation is going to change, and your return to home is not going to go back to you. It's going to go whichever direction it was last oriented to be the headless mode. So I don't recommend using return to home if you're in headless mode. It just doesn't work well. Return to home without headless mode, if you start out this way and you have your transmitter calibrated with it sitting on the ground like this, you have to make sure that the back of it is facing you, and it will always come back when you press for return to home. If you're this way when you press return to home and you haven't been in headless mode, it's going to go this way. If you're this way, it's going to go away from you when you press return to home. So there's a little quirk there. When you're in headless mode, you have to get out of headless mode before you can press return to home. And if you yaw after you've got out of headless mode, it's going to go whichever direction it thinks it needs to go home. So that's a little bit of a quirk I have with it. I just don't like that feature so well. I never use headless mode myself. But let's bind this up. You've got to plug in the battery because there's no on-off switch on this. You turn on the transmitter, it'll flash. Make sure your throttle's all the way down and it will bind. You don't have to move the stick up and down like most quads. Then you got to go left stick and right stick both down and to the left, and that calibrates your gyros. Both sticks down and to the right calibrates your headless mode. Now I'm going to demonstrate headless mode first, and do this on the ground to go into headless mode. Don't do it in the air. Some people say you can do it in the air, but it just doesn't work out well. So press down on your left stick and release, and immediately back on your right stick, and your transmitter will start beeping. Now you need to recalibrate your gyros. Make sure your transmitter is straight in line with the back of your quad and down to the left, and that calibrates your headless mode. Now your transmitter, as long as you're this way with your transmitter, this stick, forward is forward, back is back, left is left, right is right. If you turn your transmitter like this, that's now forward and back and left and right. So you got to keep your transmitter in the same direction. So let's go ahead and get it in the air and show the headless mode. And that annoying beeping is not going to stop. It's another thing I don't like about this. Okay, so let's yaw and do some headless. And headless mode seems to work just fine. Left and right, forward and back. Okay, now, this is what I'm saying about the return to home. Right now, it's kind of facing me at an angle. So I'm going to press the left stick, and it gets out of headless mode first. Press the left stick again, and see it went off to the side there, and it didn't exactly return to home. So the only way to get out of this now is you got to turn off your transmitter. You got to unplug it. And you got to plug it back in. You got to plug your quad back in. It's the only way to get out of the return to home. Let's turn the transmitter back on. Recalibrate the gyros. Okay, don't necessarily need to do the headless mode calibration, but there it is anyway. All right, now I'm going to do the return to home without the headless mode. I'm going to keep it this way, and it will come back to me this direction. But if I turn it this way, if I hit return to home, it's going to go backwards. It's always going to go backwards. So I got to keep it this direction to make it come back to me right now. Return to home, and there it is. And I just got it behind the camera here. Okay. Now to get, like I said, to get out of homeless, return to home, you have to unplug the quad, turn off your transmitter. And I'm sorry about moving the camera a lot, but I only have the one camera. I don't have all that fancy equipment everybody else has, but I'm doing what I can here. So let's plug this thing back in, turn it back on, throttle down, it binds, calibrate down to the left, calibrate down to the right. Oh, come on, there we go. Let's do it again. All right, now let's just do a little flight test here. We'll do some punching, some punch outs. We'll do a little bit of flying around. Let's see what we get here. This is in low rate. Isn't too shabby. Let's do a couple little punch outs. I'm gonna land it on the table over here. Okay, let's do a full punch. Pretty good. Catches itself really well. Okay, yaw rate, yaw and low rate. Got your, oops, get it back in the camera here. Get your forward, back. Not too bad. Your left and right. So give it a little flight around here. And let's go into high rate. That's your switch right underneath your throttle, your left stick. Okay, high rate. That's a little faster in this small room. I don't have a very big house. Okay. And the yaw on high rate. Let's get it stable here. Yeah, that's a little crazy. That yaw rate is a little bit crazy there. Let's get it over here so you can see that. Get a good view of this. That is an insane yaw rate there. Yeah, that's a little bit fast. The battery's starting to go low here. I was going to do some flips, but I do have another battery charge, so let's land this thing. And we'll turn this off. We'll stick another battery in here, just so we can get some more demonstration. Okay. Plug it in. I don't want this video to be too long, but can't help it if a battery dies. Okay, calibrate it again. Oh, come on. This transmitter's a little touchy on that. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and do some flips. Now the left stick, or the right stick, is your flip button. Your right stick is your flip button. You push down on the right stick and then the direction you want to flip on that same stick. So let's try a flip right here. Left flip, or right flip, sorry. Left flip. Forward flip. back flip. It recovers quite nicely from a flip there. It is a really tight flip. Every direction is a really tight flip. See if I can get that a little closer to the camera here. Yep, those are really nice flips. I don't even have to do anything to the throttle to speak of. It just recovers nicely. I'm keeping the throttle at the same point when I start my flip. Get a nice hover there. Yep, it does really nice on the flips. The punch outs with a fresher battery here. Let's do another punch out. I don't want to hit the ceiling. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this thing flies really nice. And I can tell you, I got a couple of these things. I'm going to tell you a few other things about these. They are extremely durable. I have a couple others. I have a couple cyans and I have another orange. And in this small house, when I'm zipping around in here, I crash into something. It's almost a guarantee in my house. So I can tell you I've crashed into almost everything in here. The coffee table, the TV, the entertainment center, the chairs, the couch, the blinds, little computer desk off to the side over here. I've crashed into the plants, the ceiling, walls, you name it, I've hit it already. And I have not got a single mark on any of these things that I have. Every one of them is really, really nice condition still. I haven't had any problems with breaking the frames or the body. I think I got one that has a scuff mark right on top. Right on the top right here. And it's just raked across the wall when I crashed into a wall one day. It sucked itself right up against the wall and it slid down, and it gave it a little bit of scuff mark from the paint off the wall. But otherwise, these things are extremely durable. I do recommend them. They're nice for a first-time flyer. There might be a little bit of problems with people. Some people would have a little problem with the throttle control. It is a little touchy. One thing I didn't do yet, let's do some funnels here. Do a couple funnels. Here I'm in low rate, so let's see what we get in low rate here. As soon as I can get this going. Yeah, the low rate funnels. Get it back over in the camera. Yeah, low rate funnels are not so good. Let's try a high rate funnel here. Yeah, high rate funnels are okay. That ain't too bad. Get back in low rate. It's a little touchy for in the house. And this room's only about 19 by 11 feet, so not much room to play in here. But yeah, you got a good idea of this thing. I do recommend them. It's a good first-time flyer. It's extremely durable, so you don't have to worry too much about crashing. Just remember that if you do go down, make sure you cut your throttle. Pull your throttle all the way back immediately so you don't end up doing more damage. Like me, I have carpet in my house, and you know, you get little carpet fuzz balls and things like that. And you know, if you got somebody in the house with long hair, if you crash around the house, always make sure that you don't have any fuzz tangled up inside your props. Later on, I'll do another video here with some modifications. I will be showing you how to remove these props, changing your props. I'll also do some other modifications to battery. Plan on turning this into an FPV. So I will have a series of videos on this with each one of these mods, and you guys can check them out. So yeah, I'd say pick up one of these. I've got a few of them. I bought a few extras for parts. You know, if one dies, I got a donor for good parts. And I really like them. They're nice to play around with in the house. A little bit of fun. Kids might have a little bit of trouble with the throttle control because it is really touchy at sometimes. Especially with a fresh battery. I notice that once the battery starts softening up, it calms down on the throttle. So, hey, nice little quad. Furibee F36, very durable. Nice little first-time flyer. You don't have to worry about crashing. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy them if you pick one up.